Hello and welcome. My name is Rev Bowen from Simply Waldorf. I hope you'll enjoy this video in which we will cover some basic principles and simple concepts you can apply in your homeschool program or in a classroom setting. At the end of this video, we will share some free offers from Simply Waldorf. So let's get started. Throughout the course of human history, human beings have listened to and told each other stories. From the beginning of all the cultures we've learned about in human societies, we know that stories have been at the heart of those civilizations. It's something that has just been a very uniquely and signature human experience. So, we find that it is also at the heart of what we do in Waldorf education. We bring the story so that it does at least two things. Here are two primary things. It gives the student, and I'll say the adult as well, but it gives the student soul nourishment. It just gives them for their minds, for their psyches, for their intelligence, for their growth, for their maturity. It gives them these wonderful stories and images and themes that they can live with presently and in the future they take with them. Also, on a more practical level, these stories provide a context from which we can bring other lessons. We can pull a math lesson out of a story. We can bring a story about anything and make it a language lesson. This gives the child a very different experience rather than encountering just cold abstractions, numbers or letters or words or whatever. Everything is being pulled out of or wrapped in or painted with these images of the stories. So the child receives these wonderful things and they are pre-warmed. The child is already connected to the lesson because we're bringing it out of a story that they so enjoyed to hear, as children do. So it's our job as teachers or parents, whoever, it's our job to tell stories in the best possible way. Now, I'm not saying that reading a story is bad. Reading together with a child is great and it's absolutely fundamental. It should be done. I read with my children every day. So that is great, but it's a different activity. That's not what we're doing when we tell a story for main lesson. And here's why. When we tell a story, we are having to actively create the images within ourselves so that we can relate those images and impart them through our voices, through our words, through our gestures, so that the child can take it in. This is not, this is invisible, but it's not imperceptible to the child. The child knows the difference between us being really actively creative and when we're a little more passive, such as reading a book, which is fine, it's just not the same as storytelling, and we're certainly very passive when we're all just sitting back watching something that's given to us, such as a video. When we are telling the story, we're very active, we're very present in that moment. The story could not be more alive. And the child senses that. Then they take it in, enthralled with the process that we are going through to tell the story, and they create their own images as well. And these images are rich and alive and vital when we give them to the child in that way. So this course is all about optimizing our ability to tell stories. There are some simple techniques that will help us use certain gestures better, to just very simply give a little bit of a visual cue to the audience or the child or the student. There are things we can use with our voice, dynamics of speed and loudness and softness and such. There are senses, the physical senses we can appeal to. There are even temperaments within the human being that we can appeal to. There are all sorts of things we can do, and if we break them down, as I'm going to do in the course, and practice them a little bit at a time, slowly our storytelling repertoire of skills becomes fuller and richer, and we become more comfortable telling a story to an audience, even if the audience is just one person. Now the great thing is, if your audience is a child, you couldn't have a better audience. They may not always be the most attentive or sit as still as possible, but in terms of enjoying a story and just wanting to hear it, there couldn't be a better audience. So storytelling in first grade is a great place to start. And as you build these skills and become more comfortable, then that dynamic between the listener and the teller, it just enhances the experience for both people. So I hope that this will give you a nice overview of the course, and you'll take up the challenge of becoming a storyteller, because as scary as it might be, we all know, supposedly one of the greatest fears that humans have is speaking in front of an audience. I always find that so many times, not every time, but so many times, those things that are risky, that we sometimes fear, if we're willing to step into that a little bit and take the risk, we find great rewards. And here's a place, sharing a story with a child or with children, what could be more worthwhile than taking that risk? So in this course, you'll see 36 examples. I'm going to tell you the techniques I'm using. I'm going to use them in telling fairy tales from around the world. And I hope that they serve as examples that really help you feel more comfortable telling stories yourself. And then you'll see in other courses how lessons can be pulled out of any story. So enjoy. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. Please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the logo here and giving us a thumbs up below. We'd love it if you would share our video with other Waldorf homeschool families and/or classroom teachers. You can find the free offer in the description below, as well as links to other valuable resources.